Hi there, welcome back to our course. If you are traveling to a new culture for the first time, it is likely that you will experience some kind of culture shock or intercultural adaptation. What we should do is to keep in mind that everyone experiences the culture shock and can reduce it greatly if managed appropriately. Then, how to handle culture shock and successfully adapt ourselves to the host culture. There are some tips that may help you in some way. Tip 1. Assume the principle of difference. If you want to adapt to the new culture, you must try to understand that things are simply going to be different in your new culture, and that the way you are accustomed to doing things is not the only way. Remember that your perceptual context is biased in favor of your culture and your in-group. How you perceive your host culture is not objective or neutral. All of the verbal and non-verbal messages encoded and decoded are filtered through your cultural, microcultural, environmental, socio-relational, and perceptual filters. These filters bias and color your expectations, which will certainly be violated as you interact with your host culture. Tip 2. Study the host culture. What we can do is to study the host culture. We can read about the new culture, attend seminars, watch movies, and socialize with host nationals about their culture. If possible, interview friends or colleagues who have traveled or lived in the culture. Tip 3. Study the local environment. In addition to studying about the general culture, try to learn as much as you can about the local environment in which you will live, such as where to buy favorite foods, where to find physicians, where schools are located, how public transportation operates, if there is any, or how to fill prescriptions. Taken for granted operations that we unconsciously perform in our day-to-day lives will be different in your host culture. Tip 4. Learn basic verbal and non-verbal language skills. We should also learn some basic verbal and non-verbal language skills. If you are not fluent in the language of your host culture, it is a good idea to familiarize yourself with their verbal and non-verbal language. Attach labels to the various items of your home in the language of the host culture. Practicing functional and frequently used phrases will help you perform basic survival tactics. Keep in mind that common verbal colloquialisms can be wildly misinterpreted across cultures. Find out non-verbal language skills as an aid. Tip 5. Develop intercultural relationships. The best way to get to know and understand another culture is to establish relationships with host nationals who know the norms and the subtleties of their culture and can be of great help in your learning and understanding them. You will learn more about another culture by initiating and developing relationships with your host nationals in your own country. Then you will be traveling to their country and staying in Western hotels and seeing the countryside on a tour bus with a translator. Tip 6. Maintain an intimate social network. Meanwhile, do not give up your social network in your home culture. Close interpersonal relations can provide positive feedback on matters related to your self-esteem and emotional need. Tip 7. Anticipate failure events. Finally, you have to be fully prepared for unsuccessful moments in cultural adaptation. Regardless of how hard you make efforts, there will be frustrations and depressions. Therefore, it would be better for us to anticipate failure events before we start. These are the tips for your intercultural adaptation. Please keep in mind, cultures are dynamic and ever-changing. We are living in a global village today and have many chances to meet another culture different from our own. Hopefully, what we have discussed in this chapter can help you better prepared and motivated to avoid culture shock and engage in intercultural adaptation.